Hey everyone, and welcome back to the vector portrait tutorial videos. In part 3, I'm going to show you guys how to work on midtones, highlights, shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and start by zooming in. Again, it is best to work from large shapes to small shapes. So before I really move into the face, I noticed that there's this really large and dark shadow on her neck. I can see that this shadow is a little bit darker than the shadow on her face, so I am going to make it a totally separate shape. I'm going to start right about here at the corner. And I can just keep in mind and remember that the face is going to cover the neck anyways, so I don't have to be really smooth and careful as I'm getting up here. So it's important to start thinking about these shadows and highlights as separate shapes. I can see that there's a really dark shadow right over here. And then I can see that there's a slightly lighter shadow right around this area. So if I want to be really detailed, I want to kind of get that middle shadow first and then get the darker one, because the darker one's going to fall on top of this middle one. The overall color of the neck that I traced here is going to be this mid-tone. So I only really have to worry about the shadows. So I'm going to begin with my middle shadow. I'm going to start right up here. And I'm going to start just viewing it as a shape. I can see that the shadow's sort of coming down here. And again, I can go down here because the shirt's going to cover it. And then it looks like the shadow comes up here and curves a little bit, goes back down, and then I can just be not as careful up here. Follow the shape of her neck, go up the face, and then connect it. So I just got this color right over here. So after that mid-tone, I'm going to get the darkest shadow on her neck, which is this whole area. I'm probably going to start right up here again. I'll just use my arrow to just click away so that path's not active. And I'm going to start right on top of it again. And now this shadow looks like it's coming down here. And it sort of has this M shape. And then kind of looks like an M shape right here. And then I'm going to circle back. I can sort of ignore this little one for now. If you want to be very precise, then you can go for it, but I'm going to choose to skip it. And then we're going to go back up the face again. And then cut straight through the face and finish my shape. So now I have the mid-tone, which is the overall shape of the neck. I have the middle shadow, which is right here, and then I have that darkest shadow, which is right there. I'm pretty much done with the neck at this point, and I can move on to shapes of the face. The face also has shadows and highlights. It doesn't have as many as the neck does, or they're not as dark as the ones on her neck, but there's a shadow on her chin going up her face. So I'm gonna use my pen tool again, and I'm gonna get that big middle shadow first because it gets a little darker here. So I'm gonna start under her hair. I'm gonna start right over here. It looks like her hair has a little bit of a shadow right there too. So I'm just gonna cut straight here, and I'm gonna get this shape. Actually, I think I'm gonna need to cut through the eyebrow because I can just make it one big shape with this shadow as well. So I'm just gonna cut straight through the eyebrow because the eyebrow is gonna go on top of this shadow anyways. And I'm gonna just draw up here over her eye because the shadow seems to go all the way here. And it even curves around the bottom of her eye. So you can see now we're getting into really precise small shapes. I might want to zoom in at this point. And then we should circle back down and get this whole area of shadow. So I have a pretty big shape here. You can see it's quite detailed and curvy and stuff. I think I might actually drop the thickness of my stroke because it looks like it's covering some stuff. So I'm gonna use my arrow and just select all of my lines. So I'm gonna use my arrow and just select all of my lines real quick, and I think I'll drop the border thickness to maybe a 2. I can still see it pretty well, but it's not getting in my way now. So I got that mid-tone shadow, and now it looks like there's still much darker parts to get. So I'll go back to my pen tool and I'll just make these parts a little faster so you can still see the shape that I'm making, but it won't take as long. So I've now gotten the darker part of the shadow here. If I really zoom out, it kind of helps me see parts that I might have missed or areas of like darker shadow. I can see there's a little bit of one right here, this kind of circle, so I'll just take care of that too while I'm at it. I don't know why my stroke width just keeps going up, but I'm going to set it back to 2. And then just close the shape. And there are a few more shadows on her face, so I'm just going to take care of those and speed up the video, but you guys can watch where those shapes are. So I have now pretty much tackled most of the shadows that I see on her face. I might go back later on when I end up coloring it and just see if I need more. Like maybe I'll add some by her forehead and then by her cheek here because it's a little bit different. But those are all of the shadows so far. So I'm going to show you guys how to do the nose, the eyes, and a few other features in the next part.